Bienvenidos to Humans in Accounting, the podcast where we pause the AI buzz for a minute and focus on the real humans behind the numbers. We chat with founders and leaders to hear their journey, what drives them, and the important things in life. Because behind every balance sheet, there's a story worth telling. Humans in Accounting is brought to you by South Offices. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Humans in Accounting, where leaders share their story behind these spreadsheets. As you probably know, I'm Alex Roman, and this podcast is brought to you by South Offices, connecting accounting talent across borders. Today's guest, I'm really happy to have you, Casey Eames, Director of Client Accounting Services at Dark Horse CPAs. Casey, welcome to Humans in Accounting. I'm really happy to have you here. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good to be here. It's always fun chatting with you when I run into you at conferences and other events. So I'm glad to have some
Yeah, that's right. When was the last time we saw each
time.
other? That was at Intuit, was it?
Scottsdale?
Scottsdale. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Scottsdale a few months ago, and that's actually where we met for the first time. I don't know. Do you remember where we met for the first time?
I'm pretty sure it was Scottsdale a couple years ago. Did you do the ATVing? The UTVing?
So you do know. Yeah, I remember that part because yeah, we were gonna do that ATV, and actually we did it. I remember that we went to this place where we rented. It was a bunch of us. I don't know, like 20 or 30 of us, and the instructor told us just to divide us like in different groups depending on our experience using ATVs. And it was like the expert, advanced, beginner, or I am too afraid just to to go on this ATV. And since the instructor said so many times the word death or like or something like that, I just went with the last group I remember. Then I regret not going and maybe the beginner, but it was fun. But yeah, that was over almost 2 years ago when we met, and yeah, I'm happy just to have you here today. We're gonna do something different. We're gonna talk about sports. This is gonna be the first episode of Humans in Accounting where we're gonna talk about something different, about a specific subject. Yes, and I know that you're passionate about sports. I'm also passionate about sports. I think this could be something interesting just to talk, and maybe listeners in the future could be identified with what we talk. So yeah, I'm excited just to do this. But before we start, Casey, why don't you tell us a little bit about your your background, and yeah, what are you doing at Dark Horse, and yeah, a little bit about your background, and then let's jump into sports. I'm excited just to talk
Sure.
about that.
Yeah, I started my career. I'm from the Bay Area. I started my career in Big Four in audit down there. I did audit for like 6 years and then transitioned over into the CAS, the world of CAS, and started taking on an operational role, which I found that I absolutely loved. And so when I met Chase Berkey on LinkedIn, we connected and started talking about the business model. I was just so fascinated by what he and Max had built at Dark Horse that I was like, I got to be a part of this. I need to join. I need to see where this goes. It felt so like purposeful to me. So that's why I joined Dark Horse. So now I work on the accounting advisory service line and try to build out resources and guides and checklists to provide to our CPAs for all principals and running their own books of business and making sure that they are as successful as they can be.
Okay, that's great. And this was exactly, and when I say exactly, it's mainly because I'm pretty sure that I just gave you a heart or a thumbs up on LinkedIn 3 years ago, right?
3 years ago, almost pretty much almost to the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Well, great. But well, as I said today I wanted just to do something different. Yeah. Talk about sports. I think that sports, to many of us, it gives us like things that we can learn, like discipline or teamwork or resilience. Sometimes we can find like lots of and analogies or parallelism between our what we usually do at work and sports. Let's dive in and to begin with, I know because well, you told me basically that you practice many sports. Tell me a little bit about what are the sports that you usually practice, and yeah, well, what are the sports that you do like every week? I'm curious.
Yeah. So I grew up playing indoor volleyball, so indoor sixes on hard court, but that was my life from like 10 years old till maybe 10 years ago I stopped playing indoor because it was really hard on my body. Like it destroyed my knees. So I discovered beach volleyball. Beach volleyball is the number one. That is my passion. I love it. I play during the summer in Montana. I can play 3, 4, 5 days a week. My secondary sport, I would say, is soccer. I'm not as good at soccer. I just like running around. Like I don't really care if I win or lose. I just kind of go out there for the fitness element of it, and I have a good time. And then I just recently picked up pickleball this past winter because Montana winters are so they're iced over. I don't get to play beach volleyball or soccer, obviously. So one of my friends, she has a beach court here, and she also has a warehouse where she built a pickleball court. So during the winter, we went inside, just started playing pickleball. We got obsessed with it. And so now that's going to be like my winter sport because I can play that in.
Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, I have so many questions. So now you don't practice volley like 6 versus 6 anymore since you discovered beach volley, right?
Correct. Yeah, I don't do indoor. Every time I get pulled in, like friends are like, "Hey, we've got an open gym or we've got a league game. Can you come sub?" Every time I do it, I regret it instantly. My body hurts the next day. My joints are just in so much pain. So beach volleyball, that the sand has that give, so it's a lot gentler for sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, as you said, you can beach volley. I mean, you need just to practice it outdoor. There's no like court like indoor of beach volley. That's my guess. Or there
In
are.
Montana, there in Montana we only play out at the beach courts outside. So my friend has a
Okay.
court outside. They have some public courts. Some facilities, so like I'll travel to Denver, Salt Lake City, Seattle. They all have indoor beach facilities. They have the
Wow.
population to like be able to do that. I don't That's not big enough out here.
Okay, 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 perfect. Then during definitely summer, you said you practice like 3 or 4 or 5 times a week beach volley. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, we play as much as we can.
Okay, great. And now you also mentioned soccer. Soccer, I'm Argentinian. I play soccer myself. Tell me a little bit about soccer. This is like 11 versus 11, 5 versus 5, 8 versus 8. How is that?
Yeah. I grew up playing just regular 11v11 soccer all the way up through high school, but then club volleyball kind of took over my life, so I dropped soccer. So
Okay.
I only really got decent at it at up to like 14 years old is when I played, and then I just stopped playing. I picked it up again as an adult, more for the cardio, and it's kind of fun. And I got a little bit better in recent years, but I found that I love futsal. Do you play futsal at all?
No, I just played a few times futsal. Hold on, because we this is like an indoor football or soccer.
Indoor or
I mean,
outdoor? Yeah, because you can play it outdoor on a little baby turf field, but it's 3-on-3, 4-on-4, or 5-on-5, so very small. And
okay.
it's like a smaller ball, and it's a little bit denser, so it doesn't bounce as much. And it's a more of a sprint game, like you're sprinting the whole time, and it's quick, quick, quick passes. Whereas like now when I go play 11v11, I feel like I'm standing around, I'm running and not touching the ball for 15 minutes. And then when you kick the ball, it bounces so much, it's hard to control. Futsal is just like a small, tight, fast game. It's basically like a hour-long sprint.
Yeah, perfect. So I know what you mean. Here we call it, yeah, but you said there's one option that it's 3 versus 3. You
So
said
some of the street futsal tournaments they have 3-on-3, no goalie, just three on
right.
three. That's a little, I'm not good enough for that. I don't have very many like moves. I'm a really good passer, but I don't have like any tricks really. So I
Right.
usually do like the 4-on-4 or 5-on-5.
Okay, and in 4-on-4, you do have a goalie.
No goalie in futsal at all.
And hold on, in 5-on-5.
No goalie. I mean, they're little goals too. They're small.
All
They're
right,
like
all right.
maybe, I don't know, 3-by-4. They're tiny goals. So no goalie.
Okay, okay, perfect. Now here, what we have, I'm Argentinian. Here, I'm pretty sure that it's the country where we have the most amount of. I'm not sure about what I'm saying, but if it's not Brazil, then it's us. The most amount of, yeah, maybe futsal or fields of football. We call it football here, soccer, and it's really typical 5-on-5, but with a goalie. I've been playing now for over 10 years, 5-on-5. Actually, it was a 6-on-6 with a goalie, and now recently, last year, yeah, we just changed and we play now 8 versus 8, which is, at the beginning I was not super a fan, but now I like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy it more, and it's competitive, but at the same time, it's basically with friends from a job that I used to have, like, yeah, over 10 years ago. And it's more an excuse just to go and have like a few beers or dinner afterwards, more than actually, playing serious soccer. But it's great, and I enjoy it. So you do beach volley, futsal, and the last one you mentioned was it pickleball that you recently discovered, you said?
Which you've been telling me about paddle or padel, which I feel like is similar, and I want to try that. I just haven't found a facility around here.
Yeah, I don't know if in Montana you have. Yeah, it's really popular. Paddle, in Spanish we pronounce it padel. That it's, I don't know. It's really common in Argentina and in Spain. It's kind of like a tennis but with walls. And yeah, I enjoy. I play that every yeah, once a week. But I've been playing that for a few years.
You're pretty good.
However, I never. I'm I'm decent. Yeah, like from my friends, I'm like maybe the best one, but it's just because I played more. It's like anything sport, or basically not any sport, like anything you do in life. If you do it enough times, you'll get eventually better. So it's just a matter of practice. But I've never played pickleball, and this is something that you recently started. You said
Yeah. Last
pickleball.
winter. Yeah, you and I need to play because I imagine your paddle skills will translate. You'll be better at pickleball than I would be at paddle. Obviously, paddle, you got a whole bunch of different angles to work with because you're bouncing off the wall. There's a whole other element to it. But I bet you'd be really good at pickleball.
Well, we definitely need just to try. Whenever we see each other in an event, we can go and play. I'm not sure that I know the rules. There is this line close to the net that it's called the kitchen, I want to say.
Kitchen, the kitchen
The
line. Yeah.
kitchen, that you cannot step into, right?
You can't step into it and volley. So you can't be in it and take the ball out of the air. As soon as the ball bounces in the kitchen, you can step into the kitchen and hit the ball that way. It is a weird rule that I'm actually still amateur enough that like I'm scared of the kitchen and I never go in it even when I'm allowed to. There are times when you
Right.
can step into the kitchen.
Okay. Perfect. Let me ask you a few questions. And then, do you do any other sports? Again, you've mentioned already 3, but do you do anything else besides this?
I've played all kinds of sports growing up. The only other thing, I don't know if you call it a sport, but I rode bike. I love cycling and I just do it solo. I don't race, I don't bike with anyone else, but that's probably one of my favorite things ever is hopping on my road bike and just taking off for a ride. So much fun. So that's
Well,
another just physical activity that I do.
and that's something that you do like every.
Kind of sporadic. I actually use my bike to get around town. So when I run to doctor appointments and stuff like that, or if I have to do a small grocery run, I'll usually hop on my bike, and if the weather's nice. And then a couple times a week, I might go on longer rides, like 15, 20 miles.
And let me ask you a question there, Casey. When you ride by yourself, like, where's your mind at? Like, what are you like constantly thinking of things that you remember just to send that email that I said that I was going to send, or just finish this report for this client? Or you have, how does, because I think that this is an important topic, and many of us, we use sport just to, all right, I just need, just, it's important for my health. How
Yeah,
does that work with you?
that is a good question because I hadn't thought about that. Like what I love about sports is that flow state. But when I think about my other sports like volleyball, soccer, pickleball, like there's so much strategy that I'm very present in the moment in the game. And so there's this freeing of I'm not thinking of anything else. I am thinking about the game. But when I'm cycling, I mean, there's no strategy to that, right? I'm just going straight. I have some music in, I'll usually listen to music, but that's probably the only time where I give myself some space to just like let my mind wander to whatever it wants to. And it's not like work focused necessarily, it's just wherever my brain might go. And so I actually get a lot of good ideas when I'm biking because I'm often not just sitting still, not at my computer or not playing some other sport. That's the time where I get to just like be with myself. And so that's a good question. I hadn't thought about that, but it's different from my other sports because it's
No, for sure. And I'm pretty sure that this is something that happens to all of us. In your cases, maybe when you're cycling, maybe some other people, it's when they're driving or when they're cooking or when they're doing something else.
mm,
In my case, the same happens to me. I swim, and basically when you swim, it's you. I go to classes, but basically when you're swimming, it's just you, and I have that state of mind where, yeah, I'm not, yeah, it's just time for myself, and I also have like good ideas, and that time. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's something that happens to all of us. And now let's change of sports. When you're playing pickleball or when you're playing beach volley, where's your mind at during the entire match? Because there you want to win, I guess. And how is it different from when you're cycling?
I think what I love about like beach volleyball and pickleball, they actually have a lot of similarities, especially if you're playing two on two, court similar. So there's a lot of strategy and game theory that you're every play you make, you're trying to kind of set yourself up for the next move. And so you're always kind of thinking ahead, whether it's thinking ahead and I need to pass this well so my partner can set me well so that I can hit it where I want to. But then it's a little bit longer term of if I hit it here, like how am I going to stretch their defense to make it like harder for them to return the ball? And so I really like the game theory of these sports is they're not just like physically moving my body. I mean, that's the healthy part of like moving my body, getting physically active and using my muscles and cardiovascular system. But like it's actually activating my brain too. It's so stimulating for me. And the better you get at these sports, the more that the like mental aspect becomes a much bigger part of the game, I think.
It's hard, like even if I try just to agree more, I think I can't, because I agree so much with what you said. Like the mental part, and I have this theory, maybe it's not my theory, and maybe someone else said this already, and it's, but like sports where you have specifically like a racket or a paddle, I think that the mental part is so important, because there are like points that are like more important than other points when you have just to close a set or a game or maybe the match point. Those are points that are really important. There is where your mental, the mental part is really present. And or maybe if you made like 2 mistakes or 3 mistakes in a row, and then you're going to say no, the next one, it's so important just keep it in the court, because I cannot, or if not, you're going to go and say no, I'm the worst. Why am I playing this now if I can do something else? So yeah, I agree with that part.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I think it comes with maturity because I've reached the point where I have pretty good control over my mind. And I only know this because I know what I was like when I was a 15-year-old and competing, like in the Junior Olympics at the highest level you can compete at that age, like how much of a head case I was then. And I often think like if I played myself, if I played my 15-year-old self, 15-year-old self is going to be much faster, stronger, like better player in a lot of ways. But the mental game that I have and the smarts that I have now and the stability, like the composure that I have, I would beat 15-year-old Casey every day of the week, I think.
Yeah, I would also bet on you on this, Casey. And yeah, that's basically why, because again, we got experience. And again, this is not only in sports. If you cook the same recipe for 20 years, for sure you're gonna be an expert and preparing that specific meal. And the same if you do a specific sport, or if you do reconciliations for a bank or whatever.
Yeah.
Now that I've said recipe, I don't know how aware you are, and I'm going to change a little bit about sports, but I don't want to forget about this question. For me, it's important. I'm passionate about sports, but I'm also passionate about eating good food. So I'm going to ask you this direct question that it's basically, Casey, what's your favorite food?
I'd say the one thing that I could probably always eat, it's a ribeye, medium rare ribeye.
Okay, perfect. And what do you have on the side of that ribeye?
I love all whole foods, like mashed potatoes and gravy is delicious. I love vegetables, so like roasted Brussels sprouts. That's one of those things that when you go to like those fancier, almost every like nicer-ish American restaurant, they have their version of roasted Brussels sprouts. When I see those on the menu, I like can't not order them. I have to order them because they all do them a little bit different, but just that like crispy roasted Brussels sprouts, so good. That's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. I agree. And last one, since you mentioned ribeye, like, is it like grilled? Is it, or how are you imagining grilled,
Yeah,
right?
grilled. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Just for me, just to have it on the records, I'm doing like a ranking of all the guests that I have here in Humans in Accounting, and I'm pretty sure that ribeye is the first vote. Well, we don't have like thousands of votes, but thank you for answering this question. Let's go back to sports. I wanna ask you, like, is there anything that, and now it could be from any of the sports that you've practiced, is there anything that you've learned that you apply maybe to business, something that you can say, look, this is something that they definitely learned because I practiced this specific sport, and without knowing, this is something that I'm using here when I work with my teammates, with my.
There are actually a lot of parallels I think between sports and business. One of the things that comes to mind for me specifically in beach volleyball, because this is very pressing. Like I just played a beach volleyball tournament this past weekend in Seaside, Oregon,
Mhm.
and team chemistry, like the you can get two really strong beach volleyball players and put them together, and they are not necessarily going to be better than the sum of their parts. I've learned this through the past 7, 8 years of beach volleyball that I've been playing, that you don't necessarily want to pick the best player that you can possibly pick. You need to pick someone who you have a good chemistry with. And there have been times when I've found a partner who maybe wasn't the strongest on all the skill levels, but there was something about the way we worked together that she complemented my skill sets really well. She was a really good supportive player. I think when I think about like the leadership team, especially at Dark Horse, and leadership in general, the best teams aren't necessarily like all of the smartest people across the board that have to be the best. It's more like, how do you work together? How do you communicate with each other? And collaborate in a way that's like you complement each other's skill sets. And so that's when I think about Dark Horse, I'm like, yeah, we've got really unique perspectives and experiences. And that's what makes a really strong team. So that's one of those parallels that I always think about in beach volleyball, because it's always funny to me. I'm like, why aren't the best players put together the best teams? But it's different. It's more complex than that.
Yeah. Well, the same happens with in pickleball. You play doubles or you play singles.
Play both singles and doubles. I love singles.
Okay. Well, but the same happens with when you're playing doubles and tennis. This very same thing that you've just said. The chemistry, it's really important. And yeah, that's great. Any other thing? Because you said that you mentioned or that you've learned a few things. That was an important one. But is there any other thing that you can think of that you learned maybe in sports that you applied without knowing maybe to the business?
I think it's a general mindset that it's hard for me to be aware of, because it's something that was like instilled in me so young, because I've been playing sports for so long. And my parents have always been really like very supportive of generally introducing me to something where I'm not going to be good at it. I might fail, I might make errors. And failure is literally built into sports. Every time you go out and play, you are not failing. You are always making mistakes. That's the point of the game, right? Half the points, or at least if you're losing, you're making mistakes. Even when you're winning, you're making mistakes. So I think there's like a natural resilience and acceptance of failure and acceptance of errors that come with being an athlete. It's just built into the way you grow. You understand that the only way you're going to learn and get better is by making mistakes, by going out there, putting in the reps, failing a bunch. I mean, the people who are the best at a sport have probably failed more than anybody else because they put in more time there. And so to me, that's like this, there's this learn by doing element to it. And so that's how I learn in business, in life. It's like, I got to get in there and I got to try things. And the more time I spend doing something, the better I'm going to get. But it's going to come with a bunch of errors.
Well, I thought it was impossible, but I agree more with this statement than the one that you said before. Yeah, absolutely. And it's important, again, having that failure. If you learn, then you'll get eventually better. That's very, very, very true. Me asking you directly, in some way, you already gave some advice, which was gonna be my next question. Usually here in Humans in Accounting, a question that I really like, and I have been learning a lot from everyone that I have been interviewing since I started doing this. I also do it like not when I record an episode on the podcast, and whenever I see someone, a friend, someone that I admire, I ask this question. And I'm going to ask you this very same question to you. Again, you just gave two very powerful advice, but maybe what's a good advice that you could give a 15-year-old Casey, or maybe someone who's starting a business, or that it's a point of their career, of doing something new? What's a good advice maybe that you can give them, or again, as I said before, a 15-year-old Casey?
Yeah, I think it's really important to find something, find a hobby, find an activity that pushes you to grow. Like sports are fun for me. They're just a part of my life, but it's something that has been a constant, like you're always trying to grow and develop and get better at something. And I think it's important to have something like that that drives you. Maybe it's something that you've never done before. Like that's why pickleball was so addicting to me, was because the learning curve was in such a short period of time. I got so much better, so much faster. And like that lights my brain up, right? Because I'm seeing I'm seeing like improvement. And I think that we need things like that in our lives. Actually, I'm excited to tell you about this. Last night, I just went to an improv class, my first improv class ever.
Really? How was it?
Oh my God. So like 6 months ago, I could have told you that this was my worst nightmare and I would never be at an improv class ever. I've done some work over the past 6 months and signed up for this class. And I didn't hate it. I actually laughed till I cried a couple times. It's
Okay.
uncomfortable, but I think I've learned to associate that discomfort with growth. So to me, it was an overall positive experience. And it was my first one, and it's a 6 week class, 2.5 hours every Monday.
Perfect. So next Monday, you're going to go to the second class. And how much does it, you said 2 weeks? No, 2 months?
2.5 hours every week for 6 weeks. And then I think at the end, there's like a show, which, oh my God, like that does not excite me at all. But I'm sure by the end of the 6 weeks, I'll be ready for it, maybe.
Perfect. So we're basically, you just do a show and you present with everyone there and you do like an improv. Okay, that's, I wish that was in, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I studied at some point of my life stand up
Yeah,
comedy.
that's why I was excited to tell you about this. You do comedy. Do you
Yeah,
do improv too, or it's more solo stand up?
I'll be like really honest with what happened to me. I went just to, like you, just to one class of improv. They already started the class, so I went like to the second one or the third one. So when I went there, like everyone knew each other
Yeah.
except me, and they just introduced me to everyone. Everyone was cool, and what I felt was that the teacher, the professor, was telling me that like ChatGPT, like Alex, you're so good. You're the best. I remember they were doing this exercise with a balloon without touching the floor and saying something. So I did it, and the he was complimenting too much, maybe, and I
Do you
felt
think that you
that
actually were just really good?
no, I felt that he was exaggerating. So that was my first and last class. So I never went again. Unfortunate. I don't know why. But now, for instance, now that you tell me after those 6 weeks, you tell me, hey, this was an incredible experience. I also feel the same way as you, as maybe going to doing something out of the comfort zone. It makes you grow. I agree also with that. So,
Well, I definitely think so. One of the main elements I remember that they kind of emphasized is support, that you like you're always supporting each other and that there's no mistakes made. So it sounds like you like the critical feedback, but in improv, literally one of the philosophies is like you can never make a mistake. You just go with it. You just stay in character, right? Just roll with it. It's kind of like sports. Like, yeah, you're making these mistakes, but progress is that's how you progress. So
maybe because I missed that part, and now you're telling me this 10 years after. Maybe if I knew that from the beginning, I would have stayed there. But yeah, well, no. So that was my experience with improv. But yeah, well, that's great. Then tell me, uh, it will be ideal. And when you present, when you're gonna do the presentation, it's like you take like papers with like specific situations that you gotta say something, or
I'm
no?
guessing, I don't know much about it, but the way it went last night was we probably did like 8 different exercises, game type things. And they did a really good job of like warming you up to general stage presence. I'm guessing at the end, when we do the performance, and you're encouraged to like invite all your friends and family members and stuff, which I think makes
Right.
it worse for me. Like I'd rather it be a bunch of strangers, but I imagine that they're gonna just kind of give us these games to act out in front of a real live audience rather than just in front of ourselves.
Okay, perfect. Well, then in 6 weeks, just let me know how
You're
it
invited.
went.
Yeah.
Casey, it was really fun. I'm happy that we made this episode together. Probably in Humans in Accounting, we're going to continue. This was the first episode that we talk about a specific subject. I really enjoyed it. I'm happy that you participate, and probably I'm gonna do during the next 10 years a few more episodes like this, the specific or other specific topics. But yeah, I wanna thank you so much for joining today here in Humans in Accounting.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We should plan for a pickleball game soon.
Absolutely, on the next event. And Casey, nice having you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye bye.